Hello and welcome to the MarineAndReef.com Budget Reef Aquarium Build Series. This is a video series where we're going to build this budget reef aquarium inside my office to give you guys an idea of what you would do if you were setting up a budget reef aquarium and some guidelines as to things to consider to give you a nice tank, gives you a lot of bang for the buck. On the last episode, we went over picking out the tank itself as well as the stand. And in this episode, we're going to go over some basics of setting up the new tank before we get into all the rest of the gear. The first thing we want to talk about is the position of your aquarium. Now, when you're looking for a position for your aquarium, there's a couple things to keep in mind. The first thing is you're going to want to look at it. I can tell you that there's a tank in one of our studio rooms in the office, and I hardly ever go in there, and therefore that tank is very neglected. So it's actually for the good of the tank that the tank be in a place where you can enjoy it. So here in the office where I spend most of my time is a great place, as well as a living room or some area where you're spending your time. It's going to make you pay more attention to the tank. Number two is you want it to be out of direct sunlight. So I know you guys see there's a window right here behind me, but the sun actually passes through this and shines on the other side of the wall, making this a better choice because we're not getting direct sunlight on this tank itself. The last thing I want to mention is just the floor. Here in Arizona, everything is built on the slab, so weight isn't a consideration, but if you're wanting to have a reef tank upstairs or if you have a crawl space, and especially if it's a larger tank, you want to make sure it can support that weight. And the last thing is you want to make sure the floor can support any accidental splashing, because if you have a big reef tank, you're going to get accidental splashing. So it's going to be best if that tank is on something like a tile. Carpet's probably the second best, but things like wood floors that'll absorb the water is very risky to put a big tank of water where you know there's going to be splashing on those wood floors. So just keep that in mind when you're placing your tank. And one more thing is you're going to need access to power, and there is a power outlet directly behind this tank we're going to have easy access to. Next, we're going to go over how we get that power to all of our gear. When it comes to powering the gear on your reef aquarium or any aquarium, one thing to consider is that this gear is all going in a big box of water, and there's some safety considerations. The first one is that we recommend you use a GFCI protected outlet. Now, there's a couple things you can do to get your outlet GFCI protected. What I generally recommend is you just switch the outlet out with the GFCI outlet. If you don't know what a GFCI outlet is, it's the outlet that's in pretty much any kitchen or bathroom where it has a protective breaker, so that way if any of the electricity is leaking out, it'll turn the outlet off, and that's so that you don't kill yourself listening to your stereo in the bath or whatever. But in a reef aquarium, we're going to be putting our hands in a box that has all kinds of electrical components in it. So to keep that safe, you want that emergency shut off. Now, you can just switch the outlet out as recommended, but again, if you're in a rented space like we are, or maybe you just don't feel comfortable, you can also get some adapters to do that. This is one that I picked out just on the internet, looked for GFCI adapters. I wanted this one because it doesn't just give me a single outlet, it gives me a few outlets and still has the GFCI protection and reset. So you're going to plug this in, then all your gear will be plugged into this. That way, if a cord were to break underwater and you were electrocuted, you wouldn't kill yourself. So this is very, very important. Make sure you install one of these guys. Now that your outlet is protected, you're going to want to purchase some kind of power strip. And this is because there's going to be a lot of devices we need to plug in. By the time you have a filter, a heater, a light, some wave pumps, maybe dosers or other things, you're going to need a lot of places to plug those items in. Now there's a lot of different power strips out there. This is one of my personal favorite styles. It's what I'm going to call a shop style power strip. And what I like about these ones is, first off, it has easy mounting holes. So some traditional power strips you can mount to a wall, but they're recessed and they're very hard to access, whereas this you can just push up against the back and then drill right into the stand to put it in place. Never, ever, ever leave a power strip just sitting flat on the ground. All those outlets facing up with dripping water from what will inevitably happen around a tank is just very unsafe. We're going to mount this up against the very top back of the stand. That way all the cords will hang down and the water won't make its way back up into the outlets where it could potentially cause a fire. The next thing I like about these guys is there's space between the outlets. More and more gear is going to have what I'm just going to call the wall warts, the big bricks. And when you have a power strip where those outlets are close together, you'll plug one of those in and it'll block up 3 slots. So I like these because they have plenty of space between them, and that's going to allow us to plug something in and not interfere with the other outlets. That's pretty much all there is to the power strip. We'll screw it up and maybe give you guys some pictures of what it looks like in the stand. The last part of our basics is going to be painting the back of the tank black. Now this tank has already been painted black. We used a can of spray paint from Walmart for about $4, and we highly, highly, highly recommend you do this. If your tank doesn't have a background and it's against a wall like this, inevitably the back of the tank is going to get dirty, it's going to get dust, it's going to get little bits of salt creep and dribbles, and if you have a clear back, that's just going to look really, really ugly. Now there's film backgrounds you can put on the back. Those last for a little bit, then start peeling off and bubbling and looking bad. You can also paint the back other colors besides black, but in our experience, colors like blue, as soon as there's algae on it, it doesn't look really good anymore. I've seen white, as soon as there's algae on it, it doesn't look good anymore. Black is going to look the cleanest over time. And the other advantage is most of the gear we're going to put in the tank is black. So if you have black pumps against a blue or a white background, they're really going to stand out and look bad. Whereas the black equipment against the black background is going to hide it, make it look really discreet, and that's our goal. So we're going to spray paint it black just with a regular can of spray paint, and then you'll get a result like what we have here.